Patrick, since the Mayan apocalypse seems to have depopulated our group here, maybe I can just
Indeed, it's December 21st, and some of us are still here.
Information about reports that Brahimi, the UN Arab League envoy to Syria, may resign.
I don't have anything for you on that. We continue to support his work, but I don't have anything for you on that in particular. While we're on the topic of Syria, though, I did want to take the opportunity to mention some of our U.S. government assistance to winterization efforts in Syria. As you know, as the Syrians head into the winter months and the temperatures drop, it really presents some grave challenges for the safety and welfare of Syrians. And so, as the conflict is now extended into the second winter, it's really become critical to ensure that Syrians, civilians who are suffering, have protection from cold weather. And so the United States, through our USAID and our Office of Foreign Disaster Assistance, we're providing tens of thousands of dollars of assistance, including winterization kits that have helped an estimated 130,000 Syrians. And we're attempting to reach an additional up to 515,000, including in locations like Homs and Aleppo and some of the hottest zones of conflict. So these kits, while not always marked as coming from the U.S., very much are helping the Syrian people as they face this daunting conditions.
Do you see any?
Go ahead.
Do you see anything new in the Russian position in Syria after the remarks by President Putin that he doesn't care about Assad personally? They just don't want Syria to have a collapse.
What is our proposal about? What is our position about? Not to retain Bashar al-Assad and his regime at any price, but first people should negotiate, agree on how they would live further, how their participation would be guaranteed in the ruling, and not vice versa. First to destroy everything and then try to negotiate.
I don't have anything specifically new for you, other than to say that we've been very clear we want the Russians to wind down their support for the Assad regime. Certainly that would be a good thing. We obviously want a transition to be as stable and smooth as possible, but I don't have anything new for you on sort of the Russian position beyond what obviously you saw what President Putin said.
Back to the winterization kits.
Yep.
What is in them, and do you have a timeline for delivery?
I do. So winterization kits and supplies include winter clothing, such as coats, socks, boots, and hats, blankets, mattresses, heavy carpets and floor coverings to insulate the floor, and heavy-duty plastic sheeting to cover windows and provide protection from cold and rain. So my understanding is these kits that we've purchased, we've already provided, they go to a family of 4 or 5 people each kit. We've reached 130,000 people, and we're immediately trying to reach 515,000. And again, this is in the context of some 2 million internally displaced people who are, some of them are living in damaged public buildings and other places that don't have proper insulation.
Patrick, the day before yesterday, the Secretary General of the United Nations described what's going on in Syria as basically a full-blown sectarian war. That it's basically a civil war. Do you concur with that?
Said, we've been very clear about our concerns about the sectarian nature of the conflict. I do report you to the UN's the Commission of Inquiry, which is an independent body created by the UN Human Rights Council. They just released their report a couple of days ago. And we commend their work and their ongoing investigation. And we are very concerned about the sectarian undertones, and we've been very clear to, especially the Syrian opposition, that they need to clearly provide a way forward so that all Syrians are confident that there's an alternative to the Assad regime where their rights will be respected regardless of their ethnicity, gender, or minority status.
Geldim. Halep'te Esad'ın askerlerinin halkı zulmettiği söyleniyor. Türkiye'de öyle diyor. Öyle mi? Zulmeden kim?
تركيا بيقولوا الجيش أسد بيظلمكم انتم بيهد بيكم، هذه صح؟
لا 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 غلط غلط. الجيش السوري اسعفني. غلط. المحاربين ضربوني، الجيش السوري اسعفني.
سوريا ordusu beni kurtardı.
اسعفني واشتروني وامنوني بشروطي. الله محيي الجيش، والله محيي الجيش، والله يحمي الجيش. جيش العرب السوري.
سوريا
عاد هذا علي القربوسي قضى أكثر من شهر يحارب مع الجيش الحر السوري. هو قرر أن يعود بعد أن بانت له حقائق عديدة.
باش تشوف كمية الدناءة والقذارة، يلزم عند البيئة هذيك، يلزم الفلوس هذيك تمشي للشخص بعينه، يمشي لتركيا، من تركيا يكلموه بالتليفون يقولوا تهبط لانطاكيا تقابل أبو أحمد. وأنا نعرف الشباب اللي كانوا في سوريا واللي موجودين تو يعرفوا شكون أبو أحمد. أبو أحمد يسلمهم في الحدود الأنطاكية على البر للشيخ أبو هادي. أبو هادي عنده هونداي سيرة أو شنو تكلف حوالي 25,000 دولار. يا أبو قلب وأنا ونيتي نشري عجل. يدخله أبو هادي الأول نقطة لما يسمى بالجيش السوري الحر، وينطلق في الجهاد، ويرجع أبو هادي يبات في حربية مدينة الأحلام في تركيا.
سألناه عن مصير هؤلاء الشباب بعد أن دخلوا التراب السوري.
أنا التوانسة اللي موجودين أنا نتمنى إنه أي واحد فيهم يسأل على عملية حمص. كيف تم قتل أكثر من 124 ليبي والتونسي وحرقهم في عملية حمص للاتهام الجيش العربي السوري بأنه قام
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وما ظلمناهم ولكن كانوا أنفسهم يظلمون، نظرا لما لمسناه من خيانة بعض أهالي بلدة المسمية من أبناء الطائفة المسيحية ووقوفهم إلى جانب شبيحة النظام، وكذلك بسبب التواجد الأمني الكبير لعصابات الأسد في هذه البلدة المحاصرة من قبل اللواء العمري منذ عملية اقتحام اللواء 34 وتدميره. فأننا نمهل أهالي هذه البلدة 3 أيام اعتبارا من تاريخ 20/12/2012 بإخلاء البلدة، مع كامل تقديرنا للذين لم يسيئوا. الملازم أول جهاد القطاعنة قائد كتيبة الشهيد محمود عديد الحريري لواء العمري.
Dear Mr. Obama, President of USA, Mrs. Clinton asked the gangs in Syria to do not give up their weapons. You know, the policy that your government is adopting, and that is building alliances with the fanatic groups in Syria and building alliances with governments and countries never knew democracy and freedom. Even the woman has no right to drive a car. That such policy encouraged these fanatic groups who produced a person called Ayman al-Shahabi to slaughter people by knife. Do you know that he confessed in one of the TV meetings with him that he used to say, "Praised be God who gave me the right to slaughter you by knife." Come and see, killing people in Syria in the name of God. Come and see, destroying churches, sending bombs to churches. because Christians and Muslims lived in Syria for more than 1,400 years. They lived together. Their relation is built on accepting each other, respecting each other. Now, I am telling you honestly that your policy, your government policy and the West policy in Syria is going to produce crucifixion for the community of Syria. Why? You are crucifying the Syrian people in the land that Jesus walked in it. Syria is a civil country. Please don't let the uncivil policy you are adopting to destroy our country. This is my final words. Thank you.
Do you believe that the unbridled support that countries, your allies, such as Saudi Arabia and Qatar, are giving to certain Islamist groups and so on, sort of, in any way nixes that, political representation of Syria?
Well, Said, I think you've seen us be very clear, especially in our designations that we made recently, that we don't believe there's a place for extremists in the future of Syria, that there are some individuals who are trying to hijack this based on the chaos and what they believe is a target of opportunity to exert influence, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen, because we want to see a Syria that's free and democratic and prosperous, where all Syrians' rights are respected. Okay, Andy.
Something else. NATO officials today were saying that they have seen evidence of more SCUDs being used by the Damascus government against their own people in recent days. I'm just wondering if you guys have any sort of supplementary information on these missiles being used against civilians, and secondly, if you do, or if you just take NATO's word for it, what does that tell you about where the government, the regime is at this point, if they're continuing to use missiles against their own people?
Well, Andy, we do have information confirming the regime's continued use of SCUDs.
فجر يوم الجمعة 12/10/2012 تحريك كتيبة الدفاع الجوي في قرية الطعاني في ريف حلب. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. بفضل الله عز وجل تم التحرير في أقل من ليلة بفضل الله.
And we think that NATO Secretary General Rasmussen put it well today, that these are acts by a desperate regime approaching collapse. So we're able to independently verify that, but I can't get into the intelligence beyond that.
Okay, and this the continued use of ballistic missiles against presumably civilian population, does this in any way create a more pressing problem for the international community when it comes to Syria? Might this call forth a stronger reaction than heretofore we've seen?
All of these reprehensible and despicable attacks against the Syrian people are cause for concern and alarm, and that's why we are working so hard to hasten the end of the Assad regime and move on to a brighter Syria. So I don't want to characterize it beyond that, but this is just a pattern of an increasingly desperate regime.
Okay.